Yeah. Hey, can we unmute everybody so we can all applaud?
Hey, nice job.
Nice job. Sweet. What a piece. Fascinating stuff that's come up here. First of all, you're just great. You've done a really wonderful job here, and you performed beautifully, and you clearly you're picking up colors and spirit and feelings in a way that I think is really really bringing power and a sort of personal touch to this piece, which I think is really cool and very moving. I'm just checking here. Oh, I see there's a chat that says exactly what you just did. That's great. Okay, I'm going to read the chats now. So a whole bunch of things popped up here, just some stuff to explore that I'd love to dive into. First thing is I started texting. There's some Italian here that I want to make sure that I am getting right, because I think I'd like to run backwards. Let's see what this says. Yeah. Okay. Concertino col legno attraverso gli capelli. So literal translation is through the hair, yeah?
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering what was getting lost in the translation of the electronic here. First of all, a question for you. When you did your sound check, I know I crashed your sound check earlier. When you did your sound check, did you play full volume for Peter when you did your sound check?
No. I had my mute on.
Okay, so this is just for everybody. Um, this is going to show up throughout your whole life, but especially right now, as we're limited in our capabilities of being able to play for each other. Make sure when you do a sound check, especially in this context, that you play your full range of volume, because when you were playing at maximum capacity, you're blowing out. So we didn't hear your full volume. So you may want to drop your input level just a little bit right now, if you could do that right now. And I'll just keep talking as you're doing that.
Okay.
So that's first thing. Second thing is just how you present in a Zoom. It totally straight ahead, like the way you presented is the way you would in a concert hall. Totally get it. I mean, you're on the side, you're doing that sort of thing. But in a Zoom, there's all sorts of options to explore other ways of presenting, like perhaps turn a little more so we could see your face a little more. Maybe turn, so that you're kind of at an angle, so you're looking maybe this sort of way.
Okay.
Maybe something to think about. Also, yeah, we don't want you to see much of the stand, but also you could step back behind your right shoulder. You could go more towards your window.
Okay.
That way. So that's just some presentation stuff. But, neither here nor there. Can you do me a favor and play really loudly for a second now and tighten up your bow for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, better, right? All right, cool. So that's not blowing out. Also, you were glitching at one point, but that was probably connection things. So let's dive into like nitty gritty stuff. So the first, as I was talking about that, through the hair,
Yeah.
I wanted to check the sound as we were talking about that, because I wanted to see that I was hearing everything well enough. So can you loosen up again and play that measure? What is it, 50?
Yeah.
I want to hear.
Sure.
This is a heck of a challenge, what's being written here. So your concertino, forte with an accent, warmly, and then collegno attraverso gli capelli. So through the hair. So what I want to hear is rich and warm and throaty, and I want to hear the hair. Do you feel that you were producing the hair as much as you could have? Do you know what I mean? Like that.
No, I think, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's just give a go at that for a second. I want to see what that can seem like. Can you turn your bow? Let me just see how loose it is. Oh God, video! Come on, I want to see the video. Talk while you're doing it, so it.
Hello.
Yeah,
More?
yeah, loose. Yeah, all the way,
Okay.
all the way. I think when I say when I hear the when I say I want to hear the hair, I think I also mean I want to hear the wood. That sort of this sort of this sort of sound. You know that? Have you done that? You rub your hair on your stick on your hair on the back of your fiddle. I want to hear that sort of schmutzy sound. Let me see if I can. You hearing me? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Let me see if I can give a go at this. I'm loosening completely. Let's see what happened. So it's a. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a traditionally beautiful sound in the way that our teachers taught us. I think there's going to be a different beauty, and it's going to be in the raspiness of it. So I'd love for you to go for that. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Now you made a face. Why'd you make a face?
I'm not just felt like many things were out of my control.
Yeah, they will be. They will be. I wonder. So this is, I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I wonder if a color that we're looking at here is in fact an amateur singer. Somebody who maybe it's a shepherd or somebody sitting on a hillside, and they don't have control over their voice. They're, I mean, that was terrible what I just did, but, I mean, all terrible what I'm doing. Maybe it's, I mean, think of some sort of person with no training, just from their heart, and you're doing what you can with what you got, and there's no judgment as you're doing it. Just go for it with what it is and see what that feels like. It's awesome the way you're going, by the way. That's so good. That's so good. Now, a couple things. My vocal demonstrations were horrible, so forgive me that. But I'm loving where you're going. A couple things. The interesting balance in this. If we're looking to approximate a vocal, and I'm not sure if that's correct. When you read up on the piece, maybe that's not actually what's going on. An amateur singer, like a folk singer, wouldn't necessarily have a lot of breath control, right? Which is good because you're playing as if they don't have a lot of breath control. You're not sustaining a lot, but they may want to. So maybe it'd be more like maybe, and then they take a breath maybe, and I'm making up the notes now, but like terrible approximation, really bad form. But try going for it and sustaining as if you were really breathing, as long as you could, to impress that person that you're trying to impress. Maybe you're singing to your beloved and you're trying to sing to them, and give it your all with this incredibly limited instrument that you have. That's awesome. Glitching. It's glitching, unfortunately, but that's really, really great. Now some next stuff to think about here with it. What page is that? It's measure 40, 50. Okay. That was really great. You're definitely getting onto something. Now, would this person have access to the years of vibrato training that you have?
I don't think so. It might be some sort of other type of.
Right.
Yeah.
Typically, you may find that a lot of folk singers would use a much faster vibrato than we may consider to be sort of correct. So, and again, I'm screwing up with the notes, but so maybe just eliminate your wrist entirely from the vibrato, and so no fingers, just maybe whatever a tight arm vibrato would give you. Also, if you hit an open string, it's fine.
Okay.
It's okay. This is a folk treatment we're looking for here. So get rid of that left hand amazing vibrato that you have, and just think about, like, what would you do with a really tight arm trying to vibrate?
Okay.
We're going to take you back to 5th grade here. Good. Really good. I know it's really frustrating, but so I'm gonna look at the notes here. Again, I'm making it up a little bit, but I would say your very first gig with this would be to suck out the vibrato entirely.
Okay.
And if you're going to put a vibrato in, not an easy vibrato. That this needs an element of going for it and forgetting everything you learned to find a new space to actually. What's going on here is an amazing thing. Is composers today are bringing vernacular back into our music. There was a period for past 100 years or so where classical composers decided that the vernacular was inappropriate to creating the music that they were doing, and they surrounded themselves with more and more thinking that was stepping away from popular culture or from reaching into inspirations from non-concert like places. Here, this is an actual reaching for another culture, another sound, and you have full permission to explore it. So that's one really big thing, and I really appreciate you going for it with me on that. Now, next thing, big deal, is just phrasing in general. Actually, I have another question for you, and this is it's an artistic question, a performance question. I don't know what the right answer is on this, but is Peter telling me? No, Peter's not telling me anything yet. The loosening the bow completely thing.
Yeah.
That stays through the whole piece, right? Through the end of the movement?
Yes.
Okay. I think it would be totally acceptable to have a second bow available for that.
Yeah.
And I say that the theater of loosening the bow is really cool, but your hand may slip, the different humidity, it may make a squeaky sound, who the heck knows. Having another bow ready to go, especially a bow that you can do that to and you're not so worried about, that might be a smart thing to have to consider, because you also have to put a mute on in that moment, right?
Yeah.
So there's gonna be noise on stage in that moment. You may not, just something to think about there with that. But now I would like to let's just look at the very, very beginning, because this is gonna pop up something here. You okay? Oh, you're right. Tightening the bow. Tightening the bow, right?
Yeah. I can't tighten it without having something other than my hand.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah, that's more reason. Do you have a second bow?
I don't. Not with me.
Huh. You could actually use a dowel, if you had a long dowel or something, just to approximate it, because this is not going to feel like a bow to you. So chew on that. No worries. When you get another bow, when you get to go to a shop, seriously, get a $50 student bow. That'll work for this, and it'll probably be a better sound because it won't be as polished. So, okay, cool. Let's look at the beginning.
Okay.
And I have two things I want to do. I want to look at your use of your bow distribution at the bow changes and the ends of phrases. And I also want to look at the spirit of what's being said here. Can you read to me, please, the direction under your first entrance? What does it say?
Distant, emerging from noise.
Okay, great. So say that one more time and hold that in yourself, and then you can start.
Okay. Distant, emerging.
I'm going to stop you now. So wonderful, wonderful job. Already I'm seeing, I think maybe the work later on has maybe given you permission to some a little more adventurous choices. I appreciate that. Um, First of all, are you muted at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, and your mute is on, right?
Hmm.
Okay, cool. I couldn't tell if it was behind it or not. Um, Distant emerging from noise. So first of all, noise. So I'm not sure what happens right before that, but it looks like a gigantic piano chord, which ends up in a sustain, right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, and that's a big event, like right? Okay. When that happens, you are probably shattered physically, right? You're like, like you've just been smacked really hard, hit by a truck. Um, I don't see, given what I'm seeing from that chord and what I'm seeing from the direction, I don't see any reason that you should be in any way extroverted with this opening.
Okay.
Distant to me feels it's not only distant like far away, but I think it could also you could explore distant as in emotionally distant.
Hmm.
So can you try? Have you ever been really mad at somebody and like you love them, somebody whom you adore, like your best friend or your sister or something like that? You love them so very much, but you're so furious with them, but you can't say anything. You're just so angry you can't say anything, and you're just cold. Like, have you ever been in that space, or has anybody ever done that to you when you've done? Just think of that. Okay, just think about that space. Like, it's not necessarily an anger thing. It's just emotional overload. You're so shook that you can't give anything,
Okay. Yeah.
and you're just extremely introverted. Can you try that now? Okay, I gotta stop you again. That is so good. You're really going in an amazing direction. I'm not seeing anybody's faces here, but I bet you everybody's like, "Whoa, there's something crazy happening here." Were you feeling something different now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's a couple. Yes, Amy Choi was wowed. Marilyn was very good. Yes, was my face looks like this. This is great. No tiered emoji available. This is great. People are happy. So you're really tugging on our heartstrings with that. Now, let me give you a couple other things to chew on. You got our attention. Look at that. A couple things to chew on as you're doing this. I'm going to ask you to try it again, but a couple things.
Hmm.
Can you keep everything you just did and find absolute physical stillness? No body motion except what you need to play. That's first thing. Second thing, along with that means minimal shifting, meaning first position.
Okay.
Open D string, go for it, see what happens.
Okay.
Third thing, do not change bow in that long D in bar 6. Stay on that up bow until it hurts and you can go no further and play the end of the bar with a down bow. It's going to be the longest up bow you've ever held, but you're taking it easy on yourself and on the music and on the listeners by changing in the middle of that D. You do that a couple times later in the piece too.
Yeah.
Just hold it until you can't go anymore. And then you change.
Okay.
Don't take it easy on yourself. So no motion, no shifting, no extra bow changes. Go for it.
Sorry.
Wow. Wow. You're getting a lot of comments on this one too. Wow. Okay, how'd that feel?
Um, I feel like I actually, as a player, I tend to move a lot less than some like big, more extroverted players. So I feel like almost I was telling myself to incorporate more movement to like hype myself up, but it's like kind of encouraging, or like I feel like I'm able to empathize with the piece a bit more, given that maybe it's requiring me to tap into like physical stillness. And yeah.
Really, really wise insight and demonstrating good self-awareness and a good head on your shoulders as you're going about your work. We're all going to have things that we are going to ask of ourselves emotionally as we do our work. And I suppose the lesson here is just to not consider that to be a default. Like, you don't always have to demand more animation from yourself or less animation from yourself, or more volume or more beauty of tone or less beauty of tone. Like, these aren't defaults. Everything is, well, honestly, everything changes. And it's all going to morph, and every piece is going to require something different. This one actually plays to a particular strength of yours, which is sucking a listener in, captivating them, and being incredibly vulnerable and intimate with them. That's speaking to your just absolute strengths right here. Once you've captivated us like this, then you can take us on that journey. Maybe there is a space for more animation. But what you've just done there, that whole first page just said something to us now. Now, certainly there was an extreme. I know you were like, wait, I was about to shift to third at one spot, and you still can, and that's fine. But I'd love for you to just keep trying what it's like to just be still, just no motion. How'd that long up bow feel?
Um, Actually, like easier than I was expecting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Don't know why.
Yeah. That may. I mean, my not so humble opinion would be that I think maybe the music was speaking to you and calling something out of you more, because you hadn't imposed, oh, I'm gonna need another bow there on it like we all do. We're like, oh, I need another bow. No, you don't. No, you don't. Not at all. Also, in this piece, there are going to be moments that your traditional sort of Western style, beautiful sound and all that sort of stuff will be appropriate. But here, you have found some magic in two spots that I hope you can take to the rest of this piece and to the rest of your playing. And I give you blanket permission to always explore those other spaces. And I'm talking even in your Mozart and your Brahms and your Bach, there are other spots in your musical world where what we've been taught isn't necessarily actually always the best choice. There are other options, and they're always worth taking a look at because you find some magic in them for yourself and for your audiences. I think it may be time to get you off the hot seat.
Okay.
Um, I thank you so much. Can we get another round of applause? All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Haley,
Oh, nice to meet you.
nice to meet you. You are about to play, I think, my very favorite viola piece ever. Yeah! Unmute everybody! Woo! Woohoo!
Very good.
Well done. How you feel?
Oh, this one it doesn't get easier.
No, no, it does not. And you should try playing the piano part. That spot you just got through is a bear for the pianist. My piano partner is he's always screaming at me when I'm pushing the tempo there. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But the payoff. Have you been through the? Have you gotten to the end of the piece?
Yeah.
The payoff. Go on. Sorry.
Piano as well normally.
With the piano, fabulous. When is the pianist in your home? Are you sheltering with the pianist, or is this somebody you work with in another place?
It was pre-quarantine.
Pre-quarantine. Okay. Have you performed this with piano?
Just in a studio class.
Just in a studio class. Great. Okay. And how long have you been with the piece?
I've been with the piece on and off since last December.
Okay. Great. Do you love it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just such an amazing thing, this piece. Okay. First of all, you're playing so beautifully, and you very clearly are. You're in the spirit of this. I'm feeling, all of us violists, we have a sort of special pride about our repertoire, especially Hindemith's repertoire. And you're in that world, and it's really getting me, and I really appreciate that. You're clearly fighting the fight along with us all, and I'm very grateful to you for that spirit. I love the love that you're bringing to your sound, the way that you're making your sound, and you're thinking very beautifully about the phrasing too. So I just want to acknowledge all of that. Specifically, I also want to acknowledge, for the most part, a good solid understanding of the score. So I want to just put that out there too. You were there were some hiccups in your digital performance that just it might have been an internet thing. It probably was an internet thing somewhere, but some places we lost some flow. So just give you a heads up there. But I would like to let's just start at the very beginning. And again, we'll just look at the weirdness of this time we're in right now. Tell me, how do you start this piece with a pianist?
I breathe and so her entrance, I kind of cue it, but we're breathing together, and then I'm landing on the rest.
Okay.
So the music is already in motion.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. There's no right or wrong here. Everybody's going to do whatever they feel. I'll just tell you what we came to. What my partner and I came to. It was a revelation for us. We've been playing this piece 30 years or something now, and we came back to it about 5 years ago. It was such a treat. he actually cues it. He starts it. I give him the nod, like I'm okay, we're ready to go. We breathe together, but he does the initiation so that I actually can react to him rather than feeling like I'm cueing some downbeat that doesn't exactly. So I can't really do it here in Zoom, but if you could imagine just taking that on, see what that might feel like to be breathing with someone. Where would your pianist be? Can you point to the direction your pianist would be? Okay, cool. So feel that breathing behind you from your pal, and let that cue come from the spirit behind you such that you can ride on it rather than feeling like you have to show it. Can you just try that? Great, great. Cool. I definitely felt a little something there, the spirit that I love to see at the beginning of this piece. Now, there's something very confounding at the beginning of it. To me, always it's been confounding. What's the? It's marked piano, right? Does it feel like doesn't feel like a nice mezzo forte would feel a little like make a little more sense? Okay. I sort of feel that spirit. And by the way, I'm not right here. I just sort of feel like I've always wanted to sing it. So can you give that a go again with the imaginary pianist behind you, but really go for it with that piano and see what that feels like. Part 2, I'm going to ask you to tell me, where does the hairpin begin?
It begins in measure 2.
Right. And when did Hailey start playing the hairpin?
From the second 8th note.
Right. Cool. So there's also just a physicality issue we're dealing with here. If you're starting in the G string or you shift down, your bow, you got to think about the bow and like not letting any crescendo happen until you're really crescendoing. Now, there's another thing, because Hindemith really knew what he was doing here. I think, again, this is sort of a similar thing to what we were dealing with Connie, that you're great with your bow control. I'm not worried about that, but I think actually if you could pay special attention to what this guy has done, this is probably, I think this is another piece that he wrote on a train or something and performed it when he landed. Like, he did that all the time. Like, probably. At the very least, he probably played it 6 minutes after he finished writing it. But he knew what he's doing, and I always had a sense that when he was writing his phrasings, he's also writing his bowings. Even as he sometimes fails to write a time signature. So give very special attention to what these phrase marks are saying to your bowing with regard to the dynamics. So however you're going to start, up or down, it's a piano bar, one long bow, and then a half bar at the beginning of a hairpin, and then the last 2 beats finish the hairpin, and then you're the loudest you're going to be in bar 3. And we don't even know what dynamic that is. So let's just see what that sounds like. Remember that imaginary pianist behind you, and see what you can do with the bow feel. Awesome. You're already well on a different path. Now, this isn't necessarily right or wrong, but this is you're giving him the benefit of the doubt, because granted, he was a violist, so there's that, but he also maybe knew what he was doing. So I actually, you sold me on the piano. You really, really did. But what I then got. That is a long. And you're still in that louder dynamic all the way up to that F sharp. It's not until really the A sharp that the dynamic drops. Now, there may be an easing of the emotion, da, 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 but it's not da, da. So make sure you sing through that F sharp all the way to the A sharp. Remember that pianist behind you giving you the downbeat. Doing wonderful work here. I'm going to just keep pounding on this phrase, though, because this is amazing. When you shift to the A in bar 1, make sure you're vibrating. Make sure, and that's a matter of actually really feeling the vibrato. Still, you may not be doing it, and there's all sorts of technical solutions for this, but make sure you hear the vibrato singing in your mind's ear as you are making that shift. And also avoid da 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 wa da da. That's another thing. So that's a tricky thing to keep the bow light so as to avoid a gliss. You probably want a very fast shift, which is going to cause the bow to accelerate alongside your left hand. So a lot of control stuff there. Next thing, I'm really very impressed by your bow control in bar 4. When you get to that, the end, da, 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 voice failing me. That C natural is about the most magical note on the 5th bar of anything. Like, what? What? And I want to feel that magic. I know you have it in you. I know you do. So just let's feel that now. Because tell me, in your own words, what's about to happen when you hit that C natural? Well, magic, yes, but what actually, in the music, what happens? Where's the tune? What happens?
Oh, from the piano.
Right. So it's basically the second statement of the phrase, right? And the piano. So you're actually giving the pianist the downbeat this time. But it's got to be a magic downbeat. And you can do something with the bravado. I don't know what, but da da, like some sort of, maybe it's a faster vibrato there on that downbeat, but it is a downbeat. It's not just a sneak in, because the piano is going to need da da da. All right, and also triple P, triple P. Yeah, cool. Okay. I can't remember where it was, but I think it da da. Are you starting up, Bo? Da, da, da. I think the A into the B flat, you gave us a little more bow than you meant to, right?
Yeah.
One more time, you're totally onto something. One last thing for you. That D is luscious and rich, right? The low D, as is the F sharp. It can be so gorgeous, and it should be, and you've got the goods to bring it. At the same time, it's not the end of the piece. And you've got that very phrase happens a lot throughout the piece. It's your first statement of it. So think about that in the context of however many times you're going to go da, 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 throughout the piece. What I want to hear from that is motif. I don't necessarily want to hear that, oh my goodness, we're in this amazing thing now. I want to hear that this is setting up something that the rest of the piece is going to build on. Great, 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 great. Well done. For your sort of architecture of the piece, can you play for me, please? The first, by the way, your first 4 bars were gorgeous. They were gorgeous. Can I get a thumb? Like, chat is the chat. Yeah, people. I'm getting seeing a lot of beautifuls and bravos and very nices. People are liking this. Well done. Can you please play for me the first 2 bars, stop, and then play rehearsal 1? And my question is a dynamics question. It's also a flow question. What's happening here with the material at that point that you can up the ante? Because it's going from a piano to a mezzo forte. So I want to hear those 2 as a distinct difference. Just 2 bars and then 2 bars at 1. Cool. Okay. Still, you dropped to the D sharp. You didn't vibrate your D sharp, did you? Da, 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 ah, da, da. Yep. Okay. Yep. Little squiggle above the D sharp. Cool. Yes, that was already in a different place. Did you feel something a little different here? It actually has permission to be a little more extroverted here at this point, right? Okay. This is a spot where, true confessions, I sometimes do 2 bows on that one moment there. And if you feel it, and Connie, it's okay if you change bows sometime. But in this one, we're violists. We need help. But that moment, I think I've done a down up, down up, down up, down up. Next thing for this, it's again undermarked dynamically, right? It's a mezzo forte. So that leads me to think that maybe bow speed would help you with the color of this rather than pressure, which would mean more bow could help. Part 2 of this, and this is a biggie, you're in a mezzo forte, and you're in a sempre crescendo from the 3rd bar of this until the Zerreit forte. So you've got a long way to go, and what I need to feel is that upward ramp of the crescendo that whole way. So you may have to sneak back and cheat back to a mezzo forte from time to time, like like when you start your run at the big run. You may have to drop volume there, but I want to feel the whole ramp up for that whole long way. So can you start at 1 and just take us all the way up to the sehr breit? I'm thinking of one thing that I remember from my own performance. This is not all about me. Sorry. I want to feel you end up on a down bow on that B sharp, right? Yeah. Yeah. Whichever finger in it. I want to feel the pain of a crescendo on a down bow. Whatever it is. I want to feel how much work it takes to crescendo, and there's a very special feeling and tension you can bring to a piece and to a listener by crescendoing on a down bow. So can you show me that? You can do from, just one more time. And just give us that B sharp. Really feel the angst of that.
Let's try that again.
Oh, actually, Hailey, let me stop you. Just because you're maybe giving yourself permission to have another bow, and by the way, that happens to everybody, not to worry, does not mean that this is easy. It shouldn't be easeful. And I think that may have been like, this is still like, what? You're 8 bars in or something, and this is like, you're already deep in it, right? Okay, so remember, you have to be in that space before you start. Great. I'm still not getting what I'm looking. It's on the B natural too. What you're doing when it da 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 da, what I'm hearing is da 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 da. I want to hear da 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 da. So this is where you may have to cheat back your dynamics to make that happen. But I want to feel the crescendo through those down bows. And they're particularly awesome on down bows because they're not easy. So, one more time. We're just doing that. You're getting there. You're halfway there. You peaked halfway through both of the notes. The first one you peaked more halfway through. The second one you managed a little further. Another thing, I'm just going to offer this to you right now. You are clearly really doing great work. You're a heck of a player. You're going to have a wonderful future in this world when we can all get out of this. And I look forward to seeing you do great things. Now is a wonderful time for you to stop making faces at yourself when you perform. Because here's like my old ETHEL colleague Mary Rowell. She's a good Vermonter. She was one of our founding members. She always spoke of true facts. She's a very funny gal. True fact is, wait, I forgot my true fact. I forgot my true fact. True fact is you can do it. I forgot my fact. Okay, bad anecdote. I failed. Mary's awesome. Check her out. Stupid. Oh my God. All right. Yes. So no faces. Oh yeah. Here's the true fact. I remembered it. So you spent what? Easily 10,000 hours in a practice room, right? Yeah. So far, of course you have. How many hours have you spent performing?
Not 10,000 hours.
Right. So this is where your muscles have to develop. Like, what's your question all the time? Like, oh, I can play that in the practice room. I wonder why. Because it's different. It's just different. So you need to get on the video. You need to play for your mom. You got to, like, when you're out in this, you go play on the street. You got to play for people. I'm not worried about this. I'm just actually slamming this one home because you have the goods. I know you will be able to get there. So might as well just stop it now. Stop reacting. Practice performance. Okay, give me those crescendos. Cool. We lost our vibrato on our D sharp, but I'm loving what you're doing with the crescendos. Okay, now, how are we doing on time? We're probably okay. Good. We ran a little late, everybody. I'm sorry. I just want to tell you a couple other things from this piece. One thing, right where you got to, another cueing thing that I found that's really, really helpful. I saw when you got to the end of your cadenza. I saw that you cued the next section. I would suggest that you not.
Yeah.
Because and by the way, don't just agree with me. Like, fight back. It's totally fine. But you get to da 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 ba da da. Like, let the pianist do. The pianist doesn't do anything. Let them cue it. This means you have to get your eye turn towards them. I actually, when I play with the pianist, I turn the other way. So if I remember at one point I was watching Connie play, and I was looking around the screen as if I could see what her bow is doing. It was so stupid. I'm doing the same thing to you now. Like, look at your piano. No, 2D, Ralph. Oh my God. So I actually turn the piano. So I turn so that as if I were. My scroll is basically the opposite of where you normally would, so that I can look at the pianist's eyes. That's how I do it. And comfortable for us. Oh, my Lord. Wait. Emily Calhoun wanted to know what my teacher's name is. Okay, I studied with Mary Lou Speaker Churchill, principal second of the Boston Symphony. She has passed, unfortunately. And then at Juilliard, I studied with Sam Rhodes of the Juilliard Quartet. And you wanted me to repeat the quote about practicing performing. Here's the quote. We spend easily thousands of hours practicing, just all the time. We do it all the time. But we do not get practice performing. And there's two parts to our gig. Well, there's a lot more than two parts to our gig, but basically it's practicing to learn what to do, and then it's performing to actually do it. So you have to actually get out there and play for people. I don't care if you're singing, well, if you're a singer, if you're playing in your living room for your boyfriend or whatever you're doing, or you're out on the street, or you're playing at church, or whatever you're doing, but you got to get out and play. Even playing weddings, it's all useful, all of it. Okay, sorry I went to the chat, and I was telling you about that queuing thing. So you got that thing about the queuing. What was I, that's what I was just saying, right? Yes, okay. All right, next thing, one other thing, really big deal for this piece. He, especially when you get to the theme and variations, we didn't even really get to that, and that thing is just massive and awesome. You did it sort of, but when you do the end of the first movement, by the way, how does the first movement end? And then wow, I'm feedback on you. Did I just get an echo? Okay, maybe it's just on my end. I think you did it, and I want to give you full permission to do it. Did you bring vibrato in at the beginning of that movement? Okay. So what I'd like to have you look at is where that actually starts. It seemed to me like the vibrato may have started right before you moved, but I wonder if you I wonder if you might to want, yes. I wonder if the vibrato should start at the downbeat of the movement. Okay. It can fade in at that, but so I do a little shifty here. And then it can be a fade in of vibrato, but what I want to see is the delineation of the movement, right, rather than the delineation of when you start moving yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because
the pianist also plays the downbeat there, right? And guess what? That's somebody else who actually, the pianist has to cue that downbeat too, right? So, all right, so your sound will warm at that moment. Let me just run through, see if there are any other things that jump out at me. This stuff, all that stuff, super, super soft. Don't worry about projecting. There's a lot of stuff here that you really are actually really color. He's orchestrated in such a way that I think there's there's sound spaces that aren't really normally going on in the music world at that time. Like at the very end of that, maybe like nothing. Don't like it's where are we? Also the capricious parts. I could use a little more capricious for that. Use a little more. Yeah. Do you have a little brother maybe? Yeah. Do you have a little sibling? Yeah. Yeah, cool. Have you ever like poked them? Yeah, just poke at your sibling. Just like I want more fun in that. Then when you get to the last part of where we got to, da 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 da, that is a bear for the piano. Really is, as we know. We discussed that. You are not allowed to skip rests, even as you're performing here. And this is another reason of practicing performance. So back to Emily Calhoun. When you're practicing performance, that means that if you're going to skip a rest, if you have 16 bars rest, you say, okay, I'm going to skip 16 bars right now because that's what we're in, and you're going to announce that before you start playing. But right here, we had 2 full bars of 4/4, and I heard maybe a bar and 3/4. You got to feel that time because it's part of your inspiration for the next thing you're doing. The pianist it is a nightmare what they're doing now. It's just an etude. It's all over the place and crazy, and you need to give them the space. Also, this moment, as this section continues on, I think you can think more of a descant rather than feeling like you have some solo line to put out. You can think of yourself as color on top of it. Again, pianists don't care. Pianists is just doing their thing. They don't want to know what you're up to. They're just doing their thing. But then, when you get, like, it starts just all hell breaks loose. When you get to the very, very, very end, da 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 da. One other thing that I have done that I've tried that's turned out really, really successfully for us is no cueing right after that. So da 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 da. Meaning we just take the time that we're in. Da 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 da. But I can't replicate it right now on Zoom. But check the cueing on that next move when you get to it. You may be able to get away with some cueings and actually with some less cueing and actually have some surprises. Where a lot of people nowadays, they're like, da, 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 da. Like, you may be able to avoid some of those things, and you'll actually shock your audiences by pushing some empty spaces. Do you have any questions on this piece, on anything? No? Okay. Well, you've done a wonderful job. It's been a pleasure working with you here. Let's see. So Peter is asking for money. Everybody, pay money, please. Next Fest is awesome. So I want to thank you, Hailey. Connie's got a question. Connie.
Sorry, okay. I wanted to ask, like, if you have any advice for someone who is maybe trying to be a little bit more, like, interdisciplinary, because I know you do, like, a bunch of different things with, like, production and, like, composition even, because I feel like a bit, like, I need to learn how to use Logic, like, right now. But I also have, like, all these ideas for, like, different projects, but it seems like a kind of bottleneck situation. So if you could speak on that.
Okay, Connie, it's a great question. I got to tell you, I hear you. I really hear you. We're all in this right now. I'm not trying to sound like some, lovely commercial for insurance or something, but we're all fighting this good fight together right now. Meaning every single one of us is being called upon to find skills and perform at levels and do things that weren't part of our training. Some of us have some certain skill sets because we've been doing them, but a lot of us are really experiencing right now what I call baptism by fire. I've been getting my Pro Tools chops up to a level that they've never been before. I'm not a Logic guy, but I do have it. ETHEL is recording essentially a television show every week now for our series at the Metropolitan Museum Balcony Bar. It's gone virtual, so every Friday at 5 o'clock, we're now presenting to like 20,000 viewers on the Met's Facebook page, which is absolutely crazy, but it means, oh my God, I have to be doing all this stuff at home that I've never really done at home before, and it's absolutely massive. I think, Connie, the smartest thing I could say to you is actually, it's a phrase that you'll hear in business school a lot, and it's paraphrased in different ways. We heard it first from one of our founding board members. The perfect is the enemy of the good. And that, again, it's been said in so many ways. What it really means is, if you can get something done, get it done. there's a lot of times, and this happens throughout our lives, you will see, oh my goodness, well, there's this thing that's happening, it's going to take this thing, and I don't have this thing ready to make this thing happen perfectly, but I probably will, so I'm going to wait until I can learn this thing, or get this thing together, or buy this thing, or have this rehear, or whatever. I'm going to have to wait to get this thing done to get this other thing done. And basically, that's not really how the world's working anymore, especially now. So the world doesn't actually care that my Pro Tools chops are not as good as they should be or could be. The world cares that I'm creating content every week. And that's the most important thing, because without the content, my series is going to fail. ETHEL series is going to fail. We have got to keep moving. So if I'm not thrilled with my mic, tough. I'll get a new mic. If I'm not thrilled with what my video camera's, how my camera's behaving, I'm going to get better at it. The really critical thing is to just do. So, Connie, if you're talking Logic, dive in. Just start recording some Bach. Set up a mic, whatever mic you have, do some Bach. Figure out, you're going to have 3 distinct rules in there, 3 distinct areas you're going to be dealing with. You're going to be dealing with recording, the actual recording, and of course, there's a whole music part of it too. Like, how do I play Bach? Oh my God. So take care of that part, and then practice that performance on a recording. So then in the recording context, you're gonna have the 3 different large elements of recording: the recording itself, the edit, and then the mix. And these are 3 different worlds of recording, and they're all gonna require their own kind of attention. And if you need to do this right now, just do it right now. And you're gonna fall on your face left and right. I've spent hours at my mixer wondering why I haven't been able to hear sound. And it's because my mixer, the channel is shared on the output and the input at one thing, and I hadn't figured that out, and I had to press a USB button for an interface thing. Really stupid true confessions here, but they held me up for hours. And the only reason they held me up for hours is because wait, no, that's not the way to say it. They held me up for hours, but thankfully they held me up for the hours when they held me up so that I could actually get to the projects that I needed to get done later on, because I had those headaches then. So basically, Connie, the headaches are going to show up no matter what all the time. They're always going to keep coming. You're never going to be good enough. You're always going to be learning, and it's fine. Just put it out there. It's going to be painful, but you're going to be glad you did, and the next time's always going to be better, because there's always going to be a next time. Was that the right answer to, was that the right question? Did I answer the right question?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, cool. Absolutely. My colleague Kate is here. I said hello. Hello, Kate. You unmuted. Did you have something to say?
I have a question. First of all, thank you for a great class. I've never seen you teach before, so that was great.
Oh, thank you.
I'm wondering how you're staying motivated creatively and musically during this time, because I'm sure we've all been dealing with this, but sometimes I really want to practice, and other times I just see no purpose. And I've been curious, asking fellow musicians how everyone's handling the ups and downs, and if there are particular things that help you move forward creatively.
Kate, you're so awesome. That is truly the question for today, isn't it? I mean, how do we keep doing this? All right. Okay, well, there's one philosophical thing, which is, nobody needs my philosophy, but I don't really buy into either of the human concepts of belief or hope. Neither of them really exist for me, because I am more one of these woo-woo types who actually holds that you can call things into being by declaring them. I.e., I don't hope that we're going to get back on stage. We are going to get back on stage. I'm not going to hope for that. Hope doesn't do anything. Intention does something. That's my world. That's how I live. Likewise, I don't believe in things. They just are. If something is to me, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in you, Kate. You are, and you're awesome, and that's just what that is. You are awesome. You kick butt, and I'm so thrilled to know you and to have worked with you, and I don't believe any of that. I just know it. You rock. That may span, I may believe in someone sometime. If like, okay, it's like, okay, I got to go play this really big show at Carnegie Hall because we're going to have shows at Carnegie Hall. And like, Kate, I believe in you. But that's a different thing from believing things. So I'm not hoping for what's coming on the end. We're going to find a solution. It's going to be tricky. And there are going to be challenges, but we're going to find a way through because our voices cannot be silenced. They will not be silenced. Now, how do I find motivation in the midst of this? Now, there's a whole bunch of fun stuff with that. One thing is that ETHEL's been really fortunate to have a demand on our time and that we have to create content every single week for the Mat. That is massive and daunting and actually exhausting. Creating TV shows in your own house, I'm calling them TV shows, but they're Facebook Live videos, but they're still essentially TV shows. Any TV producers can tell me, no, that is not a TV show. But I then show them my green screen and they can talk to me. Being forced to do something is keeping, I don't have the luxury of not being motivated. I also will go partway through production on something and I've decided I'm going to do this and this and this thing. And then realize, oh my Lord, this isn't actually going to work this way. I have to pivot. That's what the business folks say. I have to pivot and do something else. And I have 3 hours to pivot and create different content because the thing that I was going to do wasn't going to work for whatever reason. So deadlines help. They really, really help. So if you don't have the great gift of an outside deadline, like somebody hasn't booked you for a streaming concert or something like that, I might say, and I haven't managed this for myself, but I need to find ways to create deadlines for yourself. And I would say the best way to do that, because of who we are in our world as performers, would be to create presentation opportunities. Creating something for the sake of creating is a beautiful exercise. And maybe if you're able to get to an artist retreat, or you can go sit on the beach, or you're hanging out with your mom and you're sipping tea and loving her company and we don't have a pandemic, if you're able to sit in that space that you can just get those juices flowing and you can create and do your work, that's awesome. What a gift that is. We don't necessarily have that now because we've got other stuff on our heads and hearts, and we've lost people. We're worried about our futures. So I think we have to actually create these opportunities for ourselves, i.e., where is she? Connie. I'm looking at the screen like she's there. Connie's there. Connie, you have this gorgeous piece and you're exploring this beautiful spirit that you're bringing your friends into. It's an amazing thing. Using Connie as an example, you could choose, Connie, to partner with with whichever pianist you're going to be playing with and figure out how you're going to create a video presentation of this piece. Does this mean you're going to collaborate on a click track? Does this mean that you're going to play the solo part and have the pianist join? Does this mean that maybe the pianist is going to create a guide track and then you're going to play to that and the pianist will redo, or vice versa? But if you were to, so again, using Connie as an example, if Connie were to say, I want to be able to keep these juices flowing, I want to be able to put something forward that people, like the public, can be with, that my mom can be proud of, that I can share with my partner, that I can use to say, hey, this is something that I've done. Say, great, Connie, I'm going to say to Connie, hello, I'm going to partner with the pianist and I'm going to take this piece and we're going to have this done in a month and a half. And on, what is it, it's the 16th or 18th or something, 19th of May. So by the 1st of July, we're going to have a recording of this piece and we're going to present it. And that's just your project. That's something you're doing. There's going to be all sorts of things that are going to pop up. You're going to maybe need to buy a mic. You may need to figure out how to video shoot. You have to figure out what sort of upload situation you're going to use, how you're going to share files. Do you use clicks? Do you have headphones? What stores are available that are actually mailing things to you that you need? But if you have a deadline, Connie, you are going to be inspired to the creative process because you have something on your back waiting for you. Kate, you just finished your doctorate. Like you're done, right? Almost. You're almost done. Oh my goodness, you're one of those graduate types now, aren't you? You didn't get a graduation.
No, I have in the fall.
In the fall. Okay. I hope that happens. Okay. But you college student, you've been in it. The deadlines actually speak to you, right? You're like, maybe some of them you hate. Oh my God, this paper for analysis, I can't stand it. But it's a deadline, and it forces something out of you. So I actually think for all of us, Connie, Kate, any of you here, having that one inspiration of something is due by a certain time will actually force something out of you. It's a great way out of a writer's block for those of you who are writing. If, you know, with Ethel, sometimes it's like, okay, we have to have such and such done for such and such project, and everybody's got to have your music in by this date, and we all do it. And some of it is absolute, no good. But we've done it. We've done the exercise. And actually, in all the stuff that you put forward, you can generally find a little bit of a something that you can then either polish up and make better, or you can take on to the next project. And in any case, at the very least, you have something that you can say you've done something. And there's nothing that causes forward action more than actually being in action. So if you actually can say, I have done something, I have made this deadline, okay, I've blown this deadline, I'm going to make the next deadline. As long as you are in action, you will stay in action. And it's a little bit fake it till you make it. Because right now we're all faking it till we make it. What are we doing? I'm on my computer in my closet. Come on. This is not the way it's going to be. So, all right, I'm seeing that Marilyn is saying keeping a schedule helps keeping her staying motivated. Cool. You're welcome. Kate, does that
Yeah, that's
sort of?
great.
You're
Yeah.
probably hearing a lot of things like that from people, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's helpful. It can be hard to be motivated to create opportunities in a time of such upheaval and stress, but that's good advice.
Okay, cool. The part two to that, you're probably getting a lot of invitations for people like, hey, I want to collaborate, I want to do an a cappella thing or something. Take as many as you can until you're sick of them. We're all going to get tired of a cappella videos. We probably all are. But also, there are new worlds that are opening up here. Like, one thing that's really interesting to me, haven't gone there yet, but live collaborative software was always in the back of everyone's mind, and now it's actually legit needed. Like, I want to be able to play with you, Connie. I want to be able to actually be in a space, like in my space here, and you in your space there, and we can actually make some music together without lag, without digital glitch. There are all sorts of things that are going to have to happen there, but that's one thing that's popping up. Other people are figuring out other ways to collaborate. I just watched that Juilliard Bolero, which was ridiculous, absolutely awesome. And then if you stick around to the B-roll at the end, they showed how they did one of the dancer thing. The dancers, they're just so good. So many names and faces, you know, and the performances were exquisite. It was just absolutely awesome. But the dancers in one of the segments of the pieces were actually choreographed via Zoom, and they all were recorded in a Zoom. And they were all choreographed to move their hands left and right and up and down as the director was looking at screens on Zoom. So the director's actually taking screenshots of the dancers doing this within Zoom and directing them all and saying, okay, now you, Connie, you move your hand that way. Kate, you move your hand this way. Peter, please do this. And it's like, it's crazy. That was just somebody looking at Zoom and figuring out how they could actually choreograph on Zoom and record it, rather than having to have 16 dancers listen to a track and all have different frames and all have to do different things. And it was an amazing thing. So, like, that's just one thing that's popping up. And there's 8 million other ideas going of people using these new technologies and discovering things that we need to do to move forward. All right, I talked too much. All right, anybody else? Hey, Peter's going to shut me up.
I can't shut you up, Ralph. I wouldn't even want to shut you up.
Peter and I played in youth orchestra together. We
go way back.
We go way back. Way back. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So I don't see any more questions. Did I see anything in the... Oh, thank you, Hailey. You're very sweet. Any other... If anybody said anything in a chat that I missed, can you just raise your hand? Because I want to make sure I answered all the questions.
Stephanie made a comment. She said, I'm preparing for an online recital on June 5th. A local church usually does first Friday concerts, which have been canceled for the past few months. My concert will be the first one for the summer. I'm a bit nervous about performing live online for about 40 minutes, but it's keeping me practicing a lot, and I've noticed some great improvements in my playing already.
Okay.
And we had another great comment from Emily. Thanks to both Hailey and Connie for playing today. I'm a high school orchestra director, Savannah Arts Academy, Savannah, Georgia. It was a joy to attend this masterclass today. I miss my students and the masterclasses we have with guest artists. I will be quoting Ralph's teacher in the future, and apologies for interrupting the teaching. Thanks for the words of wisdom. Also, Ralph, wonderful.
Thank you, Emily. Emily, sorry, that was me. I was reading while I was talking. That was I self-interrupted. Not to worry, you didn't interrupt. That was my fault. But I thank you for that. That's a beautiful thing. By the way, the quote that was the we don't get the quote the practice performing. I think that was the quote that you're talking about. That actually came from my colleague Corey. Connie Li. He has a program called the Liberator Performer,
Which I did, by the way.
And yeah, Kate, maybe why don't you tell us about the Liberator Performer?
It's basically, in essence, a performance anxiety management program, and that Corey developed when he was in grad school, and it's based on the importance of performance practice. So, like, I went on these outings with Corey around the city. He made me go into a Starbucks, announce myself, and start playing, and then get kicked out by the manager. Just experiences like that, just getting yourself outside of your comfort zone, getting comfortable performing in public in unexpected locations, and it was really amazing.
Kate, is it liberatorperformer.com?
Yeah.
Yeah. Corey is masterful at getting people out of their heads, and thank you for your words there. So yeah, he was the one who told me that. I was like, and there was just a light bulb going off. Yeah, you're right. How many hours do we spend practicing, and how many hours do we actually spend performing? And until you're actually out there performing for a living, or what we call a living, it's you don't really get into that space. So cool. So Connie Li is the quote there. That's for you, Emily. Stephanie.
Yes.
Okay. Can I see? Can you give me your video, please?
You know what? I was trying to turn my video on, and my camera isn't working. I'm sorry.
Not to worry. Okay. I want to hit you with something here. I'm intrigued that you had said you'd put the word concert in quotes.
Yes.
And that's very revealing to me. And I would actually, so that's just an observation. I think the observation, like my pointing that out, brings forward the issue. Like, I don't need to explain, right? It's actually a concert. It really is. Now, you're nervous about performing live online for 40 minutes. You're actually nervous about performing more than you're nervous about performing live online, I would say. Doesn't that sound correct? Like, the fact that you're live online is, I mean, it's a different thing, but it's more that you're just nervous about performing, isn't it?
Possibly. I've done several of these recitals at the church before, and I'm also actually a concert master for our local community orchestra.
Okay.
So I'm used to performing, but the thing that's really kind of bothering me right now is just the idea of having no one there in front of me to interact with as I'm playing. Because I'm going to be all by myself in my living room, playing completely unaccompanied pieces. And I have stuff to say in between and stuff, but it's just, I feel very strange about playing for 40 minutes and talking to people without seeing anybody.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's so cool. So that super, super cool. Peter, is it cool if we keep going for a little bit so I address this question? Okay, great. And if anybody needs to scoot off, please, no offense, I totally understand. But if you do have to scoot off, please say bye. Thank you, Kate, for the link. Stephanie, so you're concertmaster of an orchestra, so you've got the goods, no doubt. I'm sure you're playing beautifully and no question there at all, and playing a live concert is a non-issue. So what you're speaking to I suppose there are two issues there that would pop up in this sort of context. One being a technical issue, like does my gear work? Does my mic setup make sense?
Yes. I just bought a brand new USB microphone,
Okay.
and it arrived today, and so I'm gonna try to do some experimenting with video and live streaming with this microphone and try to get the stupid camera to work.
Yes. Okay, so there's going to be all sorts of tech specs, and I could, at some point, you can find me through ETHEL if you want to drop me a line and ask me what we're doing for our video specs. We're not doing live video ourselves at this point, and I'm not sure that live is even necessary. But if that's what you've signed on for and they're paying you millions of dollars for it, then
well, I've talked to a few different people who said that that their preference would be to actually watch a live video if they were going to come in to watch this concert, that they thought that for them it would be more meaningful if it were live rather than recorded.
Got it. So, okay, so all sorts of things I would suggest. Number one, do you know the format that it's going to take place in?
They want to do it over Facebook, so it's going to be a Facebook Live, or I do have the option of them just having a link on their Facebook page to something else, but I've been thinking Facebook Live at this point, unless you have a better idea.
Okay, well, so Facebook Live, I don't think you can see the faces of the people watching.
No.
And with Zoom. So at least with Zoom, if your sound were set and you actually ran a serious series of tech rehearsals with Zoom, plus you have more audio tools with Zoom than Facebook Live, at least with Zoom, you could see faces. Like right now, I see some of your faces. And that is an inspiration to performance.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that you'd be missing in a live performance. That's a reason to advocate for doing this on Zoom, I think, for the reason that you would be able to see people's faces. Now, what happens if that happens? Well, you're playing and you happen to open your eyes and, oh my God, where'd he go? Oh, he's there. Why'd that happen? And what if he starts talking in the middle of my performance because he doesn't know how to turn on? So things like that could pop up in that context, and you should have, your cadre of friends, your section leaders in your orchestra, maybe run your show for them, have them do all these annoying things so you won't get thrown by, like, again, if that happens, that's one thing. So I would say for the live performance aspect, to have a sense of the people in the room with you, that would help you. So I might advocate for that. Plus Zoom has the advanced audio tools that you can actually do a pretty decent job. What you don't get is all the Facebook hearts and I care and likes and angry and cry and all these things. I care, that's a new good one. I like that one. So that would be one thing there. Another thing, let's see, concert live 40 minutes. Okay, practicing live. Okay. The other thing would be to consider that it's live for them, but for you, you're actually shooting a video. So rather than putting yourself on stage with the fourth wall, actually speak to the video. Like, do a video like you would do a video. It's going to be a different energy, but this, like, you've shot videos before. You've played concerts that have been videoed. How do you perform to video? You've been in a studio. You've been in a studio and shot video. And that actually can work for you in this context. As an option.
Right.
Meanwhile, massive. June 5th, you've got some time. Set up that stupid microphone, set up that stupid camera, start practicing with it. And I'm glad it showed up today. You need you need to get it in your life now. If you don't have a tripod for your camera, you need a tripod. If you don't have a tripod for the mic, you need a tripod. You want to make sure your power supply is set. You want to make sure your batteries are set. You want to make sure that your memory's not going to max out on you. You want to make sure that you got do not disturb on, like I didn't with my phone. Things like that. Yes, Peter did, because Peter's much smarter than I am, and he always was. That's why he has 2 doctorates, people. 2 doctorates. Peter Askin has 2 doctorates to my 0. All right. So I would start dress rehearsing yourself with all this now. Just like, back in the days of, when we all taped our music. You can't tape your music the day before the show. You have to be practicing your page turns all the way through. You know all this stuff too, but I would just say, if you start prepping for a video shoot as if you are shooting your music video, that's what you're doing, then you may find a new energy that will allow this concert to feel more like a concert.
Right. Good.
Where's your orchestra?
Salem, Oregon. I play with the Salem Philharmonia Orchestra. We've been around for about 9 years.
Cool. Beautiful part of the country. How you guys doing out there?
Pretty good. It's raining right now.
Oregon. All right, cool. Anybody else? All right.
Thanks so much, Ralph, and thanks to Hailey and Connie, and thanks for taking the time, Ralph, to just hang out. It's really nice to have time in this space to ask questions, and you've been really generous with everybody. So
pleasure. It's a great thing to see you all. Connie and Hailey, beautiful performances. Thank you for your spirit and your playing concerts for us. And beautiful, beautiful work, both of you. And such a pleasure to be with you, Peter, and to see old and new friends.